Welcome everybody to Who's Your Band. We're getting it popping here. I am Jeffrey Paul. I am joined by Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
I wish you'd get popped in Crossfire, is what I wish.
You don't wish that for me.
I don't like. Here's what happened. Okay, now people may not remember, but something bad happened to Jeff like a year ago when he got hit by a car, and
that was in April.
Yeah, so it was like 6 months ago, right? And my first thought was like, oh shit, like I was genuinely like upset. And then I saw like the thirsty pictures that he would be posting from the hospital bed, like, oh, I got hit by a car. And then I'm like, this guy is such a piece of shit that like,
why am I a piece of shit? Because I got hit by a car?
No, it was like I felt so bad. And then here's like fucking thirsty McFucking Drinkersons like saying, hey, I just want to let everybody know I got hit by a car. I'll take any thoughts and prayers I can get. Shut up.
I never would write something like that.
Oh, and I could see it.
No. The only reason why I posted anything was because I was so shaken up and scared. If I did something funny, it's kind of like normal. It's kind of routine. And that's what I did. But speaking of routine, I am known as the king of segues, by the way.
Yeah.
But speaking of routine, you changed up your routine and you're not in the bunker downstairs. You're upstairs tonight.
Yeah, so last week I counted and I got dropped like 34 times on the Wi-Fi. It was just a bad connection last week for some reason. So since I'm helping recording this week while our wonderful producer Adam is in the middle of Mormon country in Utah, I decided to bring my stuff up here and guarantee a smooth transition for today.
So let's talk a little bit about your background, because there's a picture on what I'm looking at on your right. Okay. Is that a signed picture? Is that a poster from a show or something?
So if you're looking, so basically what the vision was I have a gigantic wall and I have a lot of art in the house from concerts that we went to, things like that. And then I had this huge gigantic wall and I was like, we decided to do like a whole New Jersey theme. So it was not just
because you're from New Jersey, right?
I'm born and bred in New Jersey. Yeah. I'm not from Brooklyn.
Okay. I get it.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, yeah. So like, if you look at the big blue one, that's like a Gaslight Anthem poster from one of the shows I went to in Asbury Park. Underneath, it's another one from the last tour. I'll tell you something about this Asbury Park sign that's in the middle that my head is blocking half of. So Asbury Park, as you know, is one of the biggest happening cities in New Jersey and the country, actually.
Yeah, it's happening. It's swinging, man.
It's swinging. It's the tits. So it's the bee's knees.
Yeah. And it's popping is essentially what is happening.
Is it? Are you going to do this all episode with that fucking popping shit? Because let me know, I'll just stop the recording.
Well, this is going to be all fucking night. I've been jammed up all week for this.
So I go to this is an antique shop on Cookman Avenue in Asbury Park, and it's really cool. And I see this outside, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool, because I wanted a sign with Tilly on it, because Tilly's in the middle of it now that my big head's not blocking it. And I'm like, all right, it's cool. And I was like, oh, $150, that's a lot. And the guy's like, don't worry, I'll take a little less. I'm like, that's cool. I bring it up, I buy it, and he goes, $125. I'm like, that's awesome. $25, I'll take that. That's like 15% off. I put it in the car, I'm walking around. And then when I go right back in front of the antique shop, there's another one right in its place. So he must have had like 10 of them.
I played you.
He did play me. He played me really bad, and I was a little upset about that. But it's a nice piece. Are
you happy with it?
I am. I'm happy with it.
So it's worth $125.
Worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. So, and there was a store that sells all kinds of Springsteen lyrics on plaques and stuff like that. And then there was a whole bunch of like shitty ones, like, tramps like us, like all that kind of stupid shit. And
somewhere in the swamps of Jersey.
That was one of them.
Of course, that was one of them.
So then I found this one that says "Sprung from cages out on Highway 9," which is the great line from Born to Run, and I live right off of Highway 9. So I figured that
see the irony. Now everyone sees the irony in it. It's all coming together.
There's a whole theme, and then of course there's the Taylor Ham plaque because it is Taylor ham and it's not pork roll. Anybody who says it's pork roll is a fucking piece of shit.
See, that's a big debate. I've heard people say in South Amboy that it is called pork roll.
No, it's really like north and central is Taylor ham and south is pork roll.
Mm.
And then there's this whole debate. Is there really even a Central Jersey? Yes, there is. There's a Central Jersey. Okay. There is a Central Jersey. It comes from like Union down to like Freehold, and then the rest is south from there. But
Hey, you really do know a lot about Jersey.
I know a lot about Jersey. I've kind of lived here for 46 years. So, you know, when I was born, you were just a young, strapping lad graduating college.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, man. That's cool stuff.
Oh my God. Is it going to be everything that you say that I hate tonight?
Pretty much, yeah. This is what kind of episode's going. And folks, don't tune out. We do have a guest coming. He is actually coming from Foxwoods. He had a weekend up there, so we're just giving him a little time to get himself acclimated, and then he's going to join us. I'll introduce him in a few minutes. But let's talk about things that we usually do up top, and then our guest should be here within about 5-10 minutes. Sean, concerts, anything going on? Do you get tickets for anything?
Yeah, next week I am going up to Mohegan Sun to see Luke Combs. Country guy.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, let me tell you, man, this is no joke. That was the best show that I saw all last year. Hands down. He was at MSG, and I managed one of those things where I couldn't get seats because they sold out so quick. He sold out 2 nights at MSG. And then I just happened to I don't know, maybe it was like 2 or 3 days before they released a whole bunch of tickets, and they were dirt cheap, and I wound up getting amazing seats. So my cousin couldn't go. My cousin's son, who's 12, gonna be 13, was like, I wanted to go. And it was like right in the middle of COVID. So we really didn't feel comfortable with him going into the city and stuff like that. So when this popped up and it's our birthday weekend, we were like, let's all go. And I managed to get a nice hookup with tickets. I was very happy with one of our former guests, Franco, the radio DJ, who is also a booker for comedy in Connecticut. His best friend is the president of sports and entertainment for Mohegan Sun. So I got his assistant, and I said, how many tickets do you need? And I said 5. And I figured they were going to be about like $250 a piece. That was my max I was going to go. And she goes, okay, well, they're going to be $94 a ticket. So now I'm saying to myself, oh God, I'm going to be in nosebleeds, right? And I've been to Mohegan. It's steep. And I go, okay, can you tell me where the tickets are? And she goes, row H. I go, okay, well, what section? She goes, oh, on the stage, row H. I went,
wow.
I go, that's 8th row. She goes, yeah, that's our section that we sell for friends and family. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. And then it's 2 weeks after. The week before that, I have a gig with this asshole in Staten Island. I'm fucking dreading on the 12th. And then
Tommy Gooch?
No, I didn't say piece of shit. I said asshole.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the next week I actually managed, I was very happy. I scored a pair of tickets for Nickelback at Starland Ballroom.
Yeah, that's crazy. I heard that show sold out in under 10 minutes.
3 minutes.
That's nuts.
Second fastest sellout they ever had in history. Bon Jovi was the quickest.
Next summer they're touring. They're headlining tour with Stone Temple Pilots.
Who's that? Nickelback?
Yeah,
I'm telling you, they get a
chance. Do they have a new album out?
It's coming out that day. That's what it is. It's a record release show. So they're doing one show in Toronto, where they're from, and then one here. And I guess it's a huge market for them. I mean, Jersey rock radio is huge on Nickelback. So they get a lot of shit. Let me tell you, they get a lot of shit, and it's very easy to pick on them.
Agreed.
Very, very easy to pick on them. And let me tell you something. Go see them in concert. Number one, it's 10 women to every dude. Number one. Okay. And number two, they put on a really, really spectacular show. They have
a bunch of hits.
Jeff, they're the 4th biggest selling rock band in history.
Yeah. So I've been saying this for the longest time. I don't understand why Nickelback gets the hate that they do. We should talk to our guest about that when he comes in, because he's a Canadian. But yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
don't give away. Don't pull the curtain back.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Listen, there's a lot of people don't understand. See, they think we come on here and we just kind of like talk. There's a lot of intricacies in this show.
Oh, is there
So
really, Jeffrey?
yes, there's a lot going on behind. Things are happening right now that you're not even aware of, that the audience isn't even aware of.
Hmm.
That's what's going on. I thought you went to go see something in the past week or two. I thought,
Let me
did you
think.
post something like that? No.
Dude, I mean, it's a blur. I'm really like in a blur all the time, I don't know. I don't think I've been to a show that I can think of. But yeah, so I got that coming up. There's gonna be a great show. Actually, I think you should come to this show too, because I think you'll be happy surprised. Kill Switch Engage is playing
Where's that?
at Starland Ballroom too. Down
That
the block.
wow. I'm surprised that's not sold out. That's a
Not
hot
yet. You
show.
gotta getting tickets for that. And then it should be a pretty quiet what do you call it? Pretty quiet rest of the winter for concerts.
Well, that sounds pretty good. Well, the thing is, there's always going to be shows that are going to be popping up, and there's going to be stuff that's going to like you're going to just all of a sudden spur the moment, and that turns out to be like the best shows that ever. But anyway,
Okay, so hold on a second. Before you go, let me just say one more thing. You asked me if I ever met our guest. I think I did meet him once, and now I want to say I fucking hate him. Look at that beautiful head of hair. Look at that
he,
fucking hair.
he,
Look at this. Look at this fucking daylight that's
what,
coming.
I don't remember this guy looking this good, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I mean,
fuck,
he
dude.
really he's
Looks like
surprisingly shot at me.
looks
But
like every lacrosse
let's
player that
bring
was
him in,
fucking
Sean.
accused of rape. Okay, continue.
Let's introduce him to our audience. Okay, so this guy, he's a comedian. You may have seen him on Access TV. You could also be heard on Sirius XM radio. We're very happy, and he's walking away. This fucking guy. Let's bring in Mr. John Moses. How are you, John?
Gentlemen, how are you?
All right. How was your trip?
The weekend?
Yeah, you were up at Foxwoods, right?
Yeah. So it was good. I love Foxwoods. The shows are miserable, but the accommodations are lovely.
Well, that's what it's all about. Fuck these shows. As
What
long as you had a good time.
What did you work with?
That's it. So I've been doing
What did you
those
work?
shows.
I'm breaking up. Sorry.
What's that?
I said my computer was breaking up. Who did you work with?
Oh, so my buddy Kareem Green.
Okay.
Oh, that's a great show.
Yeah. So we started doing these shows in November 2020, and probably 6 months, 7 months into the pandemic, and if there was 10 other places doing comedy in the Northeast at the time, I'd be surprised, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the shows themselves are sometimes they're fun, but most of the time, sometimes they're fun. 10%, 50% of the time, it's all right. 40% of the time, it's work. You're just like, oh God.
What kind of room is it?
Let's talk about that. It's not a room technically, in that it doesn't have walls.
What do you know? Was it like one of these outdoor shows?
Huh?
Were you outdoors and under a tent?
No. You're in the middle of a casino floor, though, right?
So that was
the
Wolf Den. Oh, that's brutal.
That's hard, dude.
There's a stage, and
I know it.
They're for you, and they're in front of you, but the casino floor is around you,
and it's completely open.
Right. So you're in the middle of a punchline. Somebody's hitting jackpots.
Oh,
have you ever done Parks Casino?
Same setup.
Parks Casino is like, now you're on the stage. There's the bartender. You have the audience, and then there's kind of like the grizzly pear type of curtain, and you can hear all the slot machines and all the shenanigans going on the casino floor. Yeah, it could be a little distracting.
So that's it. So now November 2020, you're just grateful for the gig, right?
That's right.
But I've been doing it once a month since. So now that the world has returned to comedy inside of clubs, the gig itself again, I got a chance to work an album out there, during the pandemic, which I was grateful for, and I always like going to the casino, and that's fun. But the worst part about it is the gig. So.
Well, let's back up a little bit. So you're from Canada, right? And
Toronto.
Toronto, okay. So before we brought you on, we were just talking about Nickelback.
Yeah.
Do you get the hate for Nickelback? Do you understand that?
You know what's? I was thinking about that today or maybe last night because Nickelback is at Foxwoods and they're all sold out.
Yeah, they sell out. They're a big band.
Yeah. And if I think about like the songs, right? Like what's that like? Can you take me higher? Like
Well,
That's Creed.
oh, that's Creed. That's not Nickelback. God.
They have that I'm looking at a photograph. It's a picture of a photograph.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah.
God, please,
Yeah.
Adam, isolate that for me, please.
Now I gotta look up Nickelback
This
songs.
is how you remind me.
Of
This
where
is
my fucking career is going. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
That's a great song.
great fucking song.
And
And
John, you got to admit, that's a dead-on impression. Like note for note, that was perfect. You have to admit that. It was that good. But I don't get the hate for that band.
Right.
Okay,
Could
so
you imagine that that's what the Nickelback lead singer sounded like now was you, and then them trying to convince somebody else that that was a professional singer? Like that's how bad of a drug problem he had.
drug problem, brain injury. Either way
Living
you
under
want
the
to
bow-
sell it.
Yeah.
I never been to Toronto, but one thing I love about that area, I used to have to go to Buffalo for work all the time, and I would pick up Canada rock stations all the time in Buffalo, and I would find so many new bands every time that I would go up there that you wouldn't hear down here. Even though some of the bands were like, a little popular down here, they were fucking massive up in Toronto, like Default. I love this band Default that was from up there. They had like one big hit down here in like the early 2000s, and like I was up there, they played everything, and like they got like 6 banger fucking albums. Our Lady Peace.
Yeah, they won a Juno.
Our Lady Peace is huge in Canada. Now that the Queen's
awesome.
dead, they're probably going to be on the money.
But yeah, I saw so many freaking cool bands like the Trews, I think they were called, the TREWS. They were like a really good
Tragically Hip. Tragically Hip is a
great... exactly. Like so it's
April Wine. You don't know April Wine?
No.
Am I dating myself here?
This is I don't know John very well, but I really appreciate him right now because he let that fucking Uber fart just lay there.
It's a real fucking band.
Like I did.
Yeah, listen, you have April Wine, you had Triumph, you had Rush. These were the Mount Rushmore of Canadian rock acts.
Yeah, 50 years later, we're talking about Our Lady Peace. So that's what
do you know I can't even name a Rush song?
Good.
John, you're not a real Canadian.
You are quickly climbing up the ladder of my favorite guests on this podcast already, because I despise Rush with a passion.
Okay, so speaking of, I used to date a girl who lived in Thornhill, Ontario, which was kind of like a suburb of Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, more of a neighborhood in Toronto, but yeah.
Yeah, but do you have to? Because her whole family were Maple Leaf like fanatics. Her brother played hockey. Were you a Leafs fan?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Still are?
Yeah. I mean, I bought the NHL like package, whatever, a few years back, and I never really got to sit down and watch it, so I never did that again. But so they lost in Game 7 to Boston a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago or something, maybe more, maybe anyway. I was watching it with my dad, and we were both talking on the phone, and he was in Toronto, so he was like a second ahead. I was living in Brooklyn at the time, so the Leafs would. Boston Leafs were up like 4-1 in the third period and blew the lead in Game 7. And lost in overtime. So I'd be sitting there talking on the phone with my dad. We'd be watching the game together. And my dad would go, "Oh, no." And then a second later, I'd see the puck slide in the net. And I'd be like, "Oh." But yeah, being a Leafs fan, it's like being a Met fan, I imagine,
Yeah. Well, what about this year? Wasn't Toronto up 3-1 in the series? And they blew. I mean, right? This past NHL playoffs.
No, I don't think it was this year. Up against no, they didn't blow a 3-1 in Tampa.
I thought they were supposed to handily win that series, and they were doing well in it. They were having a great year out of Austin Matthews and Tavares.
Yeah,
I mean, they
Banks
really
Super
looked
Bowls, I
like
think.
they were a contender, and they go out in the first round like they seem to do every year.
Yeah, they did. It was a big one, but they did lose against the champs, the year before. So, and they took them to 7 games, and I think they were the only people to take them
No,
7.
no, the Islanders. I'm an Islander fan. The Islanders took them to 7 also, and
Oh, really?
yeah. See, this is the thing. It's like you talk about teams that break your heart all the time. I'm a Met fan. I'm a Jet fan. I'm a Net fan. I'm an Islander fan. We haven't been none of those
Yeah.
teams have been good since maybe like the early '80s. But let's go. Let's talk about you a little bit. I mean, you're a really funny comic man. I've seen you. I've worked with you before. So
Thank you.
one of the things I wanted to ask you, like in the climate that we're in now, okay? I mean, your comedy is, you're pretty edgy guy. You're an edgy guy. You say
Aggressive is what I
aggressive. Am I saying it right? Okay, but do you find audiences these days kind of like able to handle it, whether it be in the city or on the road? Or do you feel you have to kind of like tone it down, temper it a little bit, adjust it per room that you're in?
Well, I don't. Uh, I don't temper it. I sort of got one speed, and yeah. So not only am I like aggressive, but I'm also kind of a Democrat. So those two things usually don't mix. Like I'm, and I'm a little bit aggressive with I'm not overly political in my act or anything, but you can.
Are you a Trudeau backer?
What do you mean?
Justin Trudeau.
Oh, nah, I hate Trudeau.
I was gonna say, yeah, again, because it seems like Democrats here would be supportive of Trudeau in Canada.
Yeah, it's a weird, it's a little bit of a weird dichotomy that way. Like most of the guys that I grew up with, who are all fucking knuckleheads, by the way, like lifelong bouncer, like scrapper guy knuckleheads, hate Trudeau, but also think Trump is a moron. Something like Trudeau's a pussy and Trump's a moron. So like they're like in the middle there somewhere, but yeah. So like I would say like I feel as far as like being aggressive or whatever. Yeah, sometimes like city audiences are can be like a little PC and uptight. I probably have more fun in front of like blue collar Republican audiences, even if my political views don't sort of match up that way, because I think they appreciate the candor. Like last week, I was just in a little outside of Albany, super fucking, red town. And everybody, and they let you know at the moment you walked in, and I was razzing them about it, but like really fun fucking room, like a real good time, and I sure wouldn't want to do that set in full of a room full of progressives, like.
What do you say that's so edgy that would piss progressives off?
I don't know. I'm not even sure, where some of it would land. I mean, I could probably point to like, previously, like what in my set right now. I don't know, but
like Trump supporters, if you say anything, detrimental against Trump, they're gonna turn off, and that is gonna be it. I worked with a pretty well-known comic, and this guy, I mean, a 30-year veteran, done everything you can imagine. And he wound up going into this Trump stuff, and the audience just turned off to him, and he never fully got him back.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's hard.
you do got to sort of like thread the eye of the needle sometimes. Okay. So for example, like what am I talking about right now that would piss him off? I don't know, but like I had a clip that says, I'm racist. Like is the name of the bit.
I saw that. Yeah.
Right. And like in the bit, it's like I'm like a sort of like in the middle of the pack centerist type of dude, but like, you know, I'm racist. My best friend's like Black and Puerto Rican, and it's, you know, it's because I'm friends with them that it's made me more racist, because it's exposed me to situations where I'm the only white guy around, and like you realize like how other people look at you, whatever, you know. But like, I think as soon as I say in the beginning of the bit, I go, I'm racist. Like, as soon as you say that, there's going to be people that just fucking shut down and don't even listen to the rest of the bit to see like where this is going, like, or what the nuance
See,
might be.
I would think the opposite. I think as soon as a guy says something like that, now you got my attention because I want to see where you're going with this.
Well, that's the point, right? But it's like, but there are some people who are going to shut it. Like that video, or YouTube clip, whatever. Like there was a moment there. It did fucking nothing for a long time. There was like 3,000 hits, and then within 2 weeks, it was like it shot up to 150,000 views. And I was like, "Oh, is this thing about the fucking pot?" And but if you look at the comments, it goes down like.
Well, you actually read the YouTube comments?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, that should make you feel good because the internet is such a supportive place. You know, it always makes you feel good about yourself when you read comments.
If you do something and it's all positive, I actually think you're doing something wrong. You know, like if you're hitting on all fucking notes, dude, like that's vanilla ice cream. You know, but like if you read the comments, it's either this guy's a racist piece of shit, or you know, this guy's a fucking genius, or this guy's got a set of balls on him. I wish more people would be like that. And it's fucking Latino people, you know, who are like, oh no, he's right. Oh no, fuck him. Oh no, he's right. Oh no, fuck him. The black people, oh no, he's cool. Oh no, fuck him. Oh no, he's cool. Oh no, fuck him. You know. So, you know, there was a bit on my last album where I say like, you know, it was about like being a feminist, but like I like, hey, I'm not a feminist. I'm all about equality. But like, you know, ladies, just don't stop shaving your little mustaches. You know, like I'm pretty sure that could strike a chord in a, you know, a progressive room that might be a little more heavily like on with a female audience. I mean, in fact, I know that's been the case.
Yeah, but you know, when you get that groan when you tell that joke, that groan is just as good as a laugh.
Well, you know, depends on who you ask, but I'm trying to get for a little more laughs these days.
I had a show 2 weeks ago that I didn't realize it was by Mohegan Sun. It was a Democratic fundraiser, and like I didn't even look at the flyer. Like, and I'm like middle ground. You know what I mean? Like I always say, like I'm fiscally conservative and socially liberal, so I'm kind of like more in the middle. And so a friend of mine was up there. I don't know if you know who she is. Her name is Jess Miller. She lives in like Springfield.
Oh yeah, I know Jess.
Yeah, so she's the first time we worked together, my hair was longer, I had no goatee, and I walked into the room and we had the same outfit on, like black polo shirt, ripped blue jeans, black chucks. Like we did the whole thing where like we're turning our heads like in the mirror and stuff like that. So it became like the ongoing joke that like I have a lesbian twin sister. Yeah. So she put me on the show.
Like a couple that started dressing the same.
It's fucking weird. So I threw the shirt out. But so I'm doing the show and she's middling for me, and she goes up and she's fucking decimating. Like she could have took a shit on the stage and this crowd would have just eaten her alive. And so like her last bit was, you know, I'm a lesbian with my wife and we're going into Dick's, which I think is ironic. And I'm trying on this bathing suit and my pussy fell out of the bathing suit. Now this lady is on the table next to us and she's fucking howling at everything. So she's talking about her pussy falling out of the bathing suit, and this lady gives her a standing ovation. I'm like, wow, all right, that's awesome. I always want to see my friends succeed, you know? So then I go up and I'm like, you know, hey, the host, I got a lot in common with him. You know, he loves wrestling. He loves heavy metal like me. And yeah, me and Jess, we have something in common. My pussy just fell out of my underwear just now when I walked on stage. And the crowd laughs and this lady goes, ugh. Loud, like loud. And turned out she was the state senator from Connecticut who I guess they were doing fundraising for, and she heckled me the whole fucking show.
Unbelievable.
To the point where I was outside and like she was still like going at me. And I was like, you're the fucking reason why Democrats like me voted for Trump. And I fucking just drove home. I drove home. It's a 3.5 hour drive from there to my house. I made it home in 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like just like Rocky and Rocky
Doing that.
when he's just driving, thinking about Drago killing friggin'
Right,
Apollo.
Rocky IV.
And I'm just speeding the whole way. I was wild for like
Time
2 days.
Time falling off the GPS like a miracle. Yeah.
Holy shit, it was unbelievable. Like even when I got to the Bronx, I was like, fuck this. I'm just weaving in and out and shit. People don't understand like how you could feed off of that shit, or it can just completely go the opposite direction. Sometimes I don't give a shit. I'll roll with it or whatever. That bitch got in my head and it fucked me up for 2 days. And I was pissed off at myself for letting her get in my head.
Yeah.
Like that was the worst part of it.
Yeah.
That's a tough one because she's kind of untouchable, right? Like in that situation, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Nobody's kicking the fucking senator out of the goddamn Democratic fundraiser. She probably thinks like this is my house, you know?
I said to her, I was like, you're so lucky that I bought a house like a year and a half ago, because if I didn't, I would move up there and I would buy a house in your district and I would run as a Republican just to make you lose and lose everything you have. Like, this is what I was saying to her on stage. Like, it's not me. Like, it's not me at all. I'm a prick. Like, Jeff's the nice one on stage. I'm a prick. I don't give a shit. But she fucking earwormed.
But even that was too much, yeah.
Oh, couldn't deal with it, man.
John, did you start comedy in Canada?
I did, but I was maybe doing comedy a year before I moved.
Did you move now? Did you move down here specifically for Canada, or were there other reasons?
For comedy? I moved down to flip houses with my cousin.
You're also into real estate, right?
Yeah. So I bought and flipped houses for a few years, and I was doing it in Western Mass, and also doing comedy as much as you could do in a market like that, right? Like, you know, if you're getting up 3 times a week in Western Mass, you're getting up a lot, you know.
Well, what about in Canada? Was there a scene that you went?
Toronto's
Did
a
you
pretty
start
good
open
scene,
mic?
you know, I had a couple clubs at the time. There's probably 4 or 5 clubs now with a couple of indie rooms. Back then it was 2, but there were still 2 or 3 shows going every night of the week. Then you move to Western Mass, and like, I used to get pissed because I would do some guy's room, and then the guy didn't book me again for 6 months, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? You're not fucking booking me? It's like, dude, you don't even have these are the same people coming to these goddamn shows. If they've seen you in 6 months, it's too soon. They're gonna remember your whole fucking act, you know? Like, but think about that when you're a young guy. You're just getting, or maybe you do, and it's just, I got a problem. But so
are you a prolific writer, John?
What's that?
Are you a prolific writer?
I don't think so.
So it makes sense. It makes sense what he said to you.
I mean, back then, so I've been doing, I've done 3 albums. I probably turn out, I try and change things up every sort of like 2 to 3 years, like a whole, maybe 4 years as far as like a headline show. Like, I'm always doing new stuff. I don't think that's prolific. I think that's what, these days is probably average. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know many comics. You'll see some guys in New York who spend what I like to say is 15 years polishing a turd. Doing their same fucking 15 minutes they've always done and wondering why the industry doesn't like them. It's like they saw
it's the industry's fault.
Ago,
Yeah, and he's got a blue microphone.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think I'm prolific, but I write, sure.
Yeah. So would you? I'm just trying to kind of figure out the scene in Canada, because Canada. I mean, there's a lot of good comedians that came down from Canada. Like yourself, Aaron Berg, Ryan Long. I mean, there's a bunch of you. Oh my God, everyone who right?
Oh, there's a bunch of guys. Yeah, Toronto's a great scene. Toronto's a big scene, but I got out of there early. Like I was just doing, like I was running a room and, and basically doing mics when I left,
This
Yep.
Sean, this is what you'll like about
I was
John.
20 years old. I was 20 years
You
old.
you were 20 years old when you started.
Yeah, I was 20 when I started, and I was 21, 20, or just turned 22 when I moved to Massachusetts.
So you've been doing it about 20 years now, right?
23.
Wow.
Jesus Christ. And look at him, man. It looks great. Sean, this is what you'll like about John. John was a panelist on Comics Watching Comics. And it's run by a friend of ours, Kevin Goatee. And he asked me, hey, why don't you come down? He's like, I need comics to do the show. Okay. They taped 40 comics in one day. I was the 40th. So I go up and do the show, and then they edit it, and like you have no idea what's going on. So John's a panelist on this show, and he's like, and he's supposed to be watching comics and giving feedback, and his feedback on me is like, yeah, this guy's all right, funny, but it's his voice. I mean, I can see him doing some acting, maybe getting like some type of cop or gangster role. Yeah, that's what I get booked for every fucking month. You gave me career advice.
I also think I probably said he should quit.
I say it every week, John. Every week I say this. 2.5 years.
Which was not necessarily an insult to your comedy. It was just like knowing the business. It's like, dude, just quit. Don't even bother.
You have no idea how much that hits you in the soul when someone tells you that. Okay, you know what? Fuck you. You're not good looking. You're not edgy. Okay, the Leafs suck. Okay, right. Go back to fucking Canada.
Listen, I should also quit. I'm also another person on this podcast that could quit. I don't know Sean well, but I'm assuming he should too.
No, I'm pretty good, John. I'm pretty good.
Any hell gigs? Can you think of any hell gigs that because you tour a lot, you do a lot of stuff on the road. Any besides that, I mean that Foxwood is it's not a great gig, but anything that you could think of that you did that was really like a lot worse.
I don't know, man. I bomb enough for sure. But like as far as real hell gigs,
I love when comics have hell gig stories.
I did a gig with my buddy Jason Andors, and it was at a ski resort. It was at a ski resort in Pennsylvania, and we did the show at the pool, but there was no stage or anything. We were just standing on one side of the fucking pool, and like the audience was on the other side of the pool. And at one point, it was just so bad, I just wanted to like jump in and drown myself, But
okay,
that was just a horrible setup. That was
John. Were the people nude?
No. God.
Okay, that sounds like a gig I actually did, but the people were all naked. Is that a nudist colony?
Oh my God!
Yes, and not only that, it was a 6-hour comedy show that started at noon and went to 6 at night. And like there was a bunch of comics on it. I went after first. I think when Sharon Simon, Rich Carucci, Sharon Simon, me, Doug Karff, Corey Alexander. There was a whole bunch of comics on this show, and we were all doing 45 minutes.
That's the worst. I can't imagine anything more horrific than that gig.
Yeah, I actually think it was more hell for the naked people.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. 6 hours of that. Oh,
yeah. Did I tell you how I figured out Corey Alexander's gimmick?
What's his gimmick?
His gimmick is, and I don't care, he is not listening to this. So I would see him like working a lot, and I'm like, wow, all right, he's taking these pictures and stuff like that. He just shows up at random gigs in Pennsylvania and not on the show, doesn't even do a guest spot, and then takes pictures with all the comics and then posts them after the show, letting people believe that he's working at all these places. He did it to me. I was headlining at Valley Forge Casino, popped in with his girlfriend, watched the show. The next day, what a killer show at Valley Forge. Everybody crushed. Thanks everybody for coming out. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Are you absolutely kidding me? So I called him out on it once before.
That's a pretty sweet move.
It's fucking douchey. It's fucking huge. It's the oh my god, dude. It's I don't have the balls to do that. Like I would never have the balls to do that.
Yeah,
Hey, did you
I don't even like saying that about the shows that I do. I'm like, I'm not fucking posting about that one.
did you guys see the video of the comic that got the beer thrown at her at Uncle Vinny's?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that?
It was on Kimmel last week.
Yeah. You know,
First of all,
sure,
it's the biggest piece of shit club in the fucking country, number one. And it's not because of the comics who work there. I have a lot of great friends who still work there. I mean, I'm not allowed to work there anymore, but whatever. It's a recipe for disaster. Because if you're going into a regular comedy club like Gotham, chances are somebody's not going to come in and drink 13 fucking drinks before you go on stage. This is a place where you can bring your own liquor. So chances are you're bringing in a 12-pack of fucking beer. And if you're an animal who's drinking a 12-pack of beer, you got to do it at the show, you know? And it's just not a great setup for comedy, you know? And I feel bad for her, you know? I don't know who she is. Like I
don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for her at all. She handled it well, and she
handled it fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah, listen,
got a Kimmel spot out of it too. So
I will.
If they would have threw a beer at me, I would have walked out of there with an assault charge and been deported. So.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I've said it on stage too. Like I had a guy bitch me out a couple weeks ago, and I was like, he stood up, and I'm like, look, let me just explain something to you, dude. I'm cool, I'm chill, but I'm not Chris Rock. I'm not a bitch. I'll knock you the fuck out if you ever come anywhere near this stage. And I carry a knife in my back pocket now.
Sean is like 6'6", 350.
6'3". 6'3", but who's counting? But yeah,
I am.
That's like a no. That's a no, you know. And like, shame on him for fucking, you know, get a fucking liquor license, dude. Get a liquor license. Do you know how much money you're losing if you don't have a liquor license?
The problem is liquor licenses in Jersey are like $750,000.
Sure, absolutely, but
I don't know how they. I mean, listen, I'll tell you this. I don't know how they make money. I don't know how most comedy places make money. Ever since I've watched that, what's that name of that show with Jason Bateman down in the South, like fixing numbers?
Ozark.
Ever since I've seen Ozark, I'm convinced 90% of all comedy clubs are fucking money laundering outfits.
Yeah,
because I never know how they make money, and it's certainly not on my weekend.
Well, yeah. Oh man, dude, remember we worked a club, and it was a Friday night. If we were lucky, there were 12 people there.
That club shall remain nameless, but I will be working there December 2nd and 3rd.
Oh, dude, I get it, man. I got booked to headline a theater here in Jersey, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. I Google it. I'm like, I got there early. It's a small theater. It was like an old movie theater that I guess the projector broke, and they decided, hey, we have a stage. Let's just start doing bands and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, cool. So here I am. I'm a fucking weirdo. I walk in. It's like an hour and a half early, and I'm counting every seat. Like I'm like, okay, so there's 6 over here. There's 9 rows. That's 54. And I'm like, wow, it's 300 seats. All right, that's cool. 300 seat theater. That's gonna be a nice fucking show. It's great when there's less than 10% filled.
Yeah.
21 people at a 300 seat theater. That was a lot of fun.
All spread out.
Oh yeah, no one in the front, 2 in the back, 5 over here. You know, speaking of, all right, I'll tell you another story. Speaking of fucking that douchebag Uncle Vinny's, right? So he had a club in Staten Island, right? He opened up the
it was the worst setup for a comedy ever.
Right.
Hold on a second. Let me just set it up for John. John, this is an old historic theater. The stage, it had to be, I'm going to say 24 to 25 feet off the ground. Okay. Yeah. With ceilings that were even higher. Okay. And it had a balcony, and the disconnect, because it was right down the block from me where I lived. I mean, the seats on the ground, you couldn't connect with anybody. You couldn't see anybody. It was cavernous. If you had 500 people in there, it still seemed empty.
Yeah, right. It was like a 900 to 1,000 seat theater. I think Dice played it and sold it out, obviously, you know.
He did not. He never played. Nope. I went to, because when he played Staten Island, I went, and that was at Grandpa's Comedy Club, which is in the same area.
Okay. So it was me and Gino Bisconti. It was like a Wednesday or Thursday night, and you know, we're bullshitting in the front, and we're talking, and then we go in there, and there's 4 people in the theater. 4. 2 people sitting right in the front, 2 people sitting all the way in the back. So I go, can you at least move the 2 people from the back and put them in the front so we can at least talk to all 4 people? And they go, oh no, we can't do that. That's the golden circle in the front. They pay extra for those tickets.
Yeah.
Who
That's
the
the
fuck would
fucking
pay extra
reasoning.
to see you and Gino Pisconti in Staten Island?
Yeah, well, they will in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cancel that show.
Yeah, not a problem.
I did the Looney bit in Staten Island, and I remember it was like, man, I was excited to
Which
be home.
incarnation of the Looney Bin did you do? Was it at the club or was it in a diner?
It was, I think it was the club. It was beside the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Oh, that was actually a pretty good room.
So anyway, that night there's a table of fucking guys. I don't know, fucking Puerto Rican guys or Italian guys. You know, Puerto Rican. You know, it's Staten Island, so everybody seems Italian.
Yeah.
But one of them gets up. One of them's talking shit, and at one point I said, "Listen, buddy, I'm not like the rest of these fucking comedians up here." I said, "I used to do a lot of shit before I was a comic." I go, "Why don't I meet you outside after the show?" So the rest, it's super uncomfortable now, and I'm still like trying to be entertaining, but I've set this fucking bomb off in the room where the whole thing, you know, as the show ticks down, everybody's thinking like, what's going to happen? And then I was out in the lobby, also still trying to sell merch, waiting for this fight. And he just walked out and like, you know, put his head down and fucking slinked away, you know, with him and his buddies. But I mean, essentially, you know, you're in these situations, and I'm not in clubs that much, you know, and even when you're in clubs, I mean, like maybe there's some bouncers there, maybe there isn't. But, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're the only guy looking out for you in there is you, and maybe a couple of the comics, depending on who you're working with, you know. So that was a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a fucking real hell gig, but so the next week I'm in Boston, and I was doing a black room out there, and I'm up there. You know, I played that place before. You know, I'm doing well, and they had a little old blind guy working the front of the door, like legally blind, like the old governor of like the governor
of New York, David Patterson.
Yes, Patterson, right? So some guy tries to blow past him, like old man tries to blow past him and save, you know, the $10. Like, I'm not paying the cover. And I said, come on, buddy. Big fucking guy too. Fucking, you know, I'm 6'2", 230. This guy's 6'4", 260 cut. And black dude, and he tries to blow past him. And I go, come on, buddy, you're gonna fucking violate your probation in order to save $10? And then the room fucking explodes, and I start digging on him, and then he starts trying to like edge towards the stage, but the room is with me, so they back him off. And the host there would always police the room, and he would be like, hey, motherfucker, this ain't, you know, chill the fuck out, this is a comedy club. Like, a bunch of fucking N-bombs would be flying. But I've seen him bark down like all kinds of thugs. He went up to this guy, and I couldn't see what was being said, but like the fucking big dude said something to him, and I just saw this host back down for the first time ever, and I was like, oh shit, I'm alone. And at one point, one of his friends tries to fucking sneak up to the stage and like sucker punch me, and I called it. I was like, hey man, are you trying to fucking stuff me? And he was like, yeah, I was. And then everybody
I think you gave him a pound and you guys became friends afterwards,
No,
and everyone went out for like some malt liquors. Yeah, we get it.
I had the fucking place rocking though. And at the end of the fucking show, the host comes up and gives me my money before I got off stage. Now, that has never happened before. I'm usually waiting an hour and a half for my money in this place. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is a sign. I get off stage, and my buddy, who was, you know, opening, goes, hey, man, I think we should get the fuck out of here. I'm like, yeah, man, fuck that. I'm sticking around to sell merch. And then as I looked, that guy who was causing a problem. Him and like 4 other guys his size were slowly starting to close in on me like a fucking circle of sharks. And I was like, fuck this, I'm out. And I literally took off out the front door and ran to my car. And the bouncer on the way out the door goes, "Hey man, you don't gotta run, motherfucker." And I was like, "No."
Hey John, before we go, because I mean we have a couple of minutes. Let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit of music, all right? And
Yeah.
because and I want to talk music with you because I think you're a music fan, and your bands like what you sent me really kind of pan the spectrum. Like Audioslave, fucking love Audioslave. You know, we haven't had a guest actually come on the show and even mention them. Great band. Or, you know,
Yeah.
kind of like a shoot off of Soundgarden and Rage. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you follow it up with Fleetwood Mac. Ugh. Oh man, and then you also said you like gay house music, which I said, don't worry, my co-host is going to be into all this shit too. Okay.
Totally.
But yeah, so who is your favorite band? Is it Audioslave?
If someone was to press me, you know, I would probably say Audioslave. And that's just because the first album was so awesome.
Yeah, it really was.
Like from start to finish, you can play that like on a ride, on like a ride home from a show or something. It was just like a really great album. And I wasn't like a big Rage fan. I mean, there's a couple of good songs, and I didn't give a fuck about Soundgarden at all. So like, but those guys coming together was just awesome. And then they had a really great song off their second album, you know, Be Yourself.
Great song. Oh my God, that's so good.
I don't know why they didn't, you know, continue to make music together, because I thought that was like, you know, what a great fucking band. And also like super underrated. Like when he died, nobody even mentioned Audioslave.
No, they really didn't. That's a shame because, you know, when you have like these, you know, quote unquote super groups, chances are they suck. They really do. Like Velvet Revolver, I thought was another band like that too, where you had Scott Weiland with the guys from GNR.
Right.
And it was still a rock band. So like, you know, GNR is a great rock band, but you know, Soundgarden came from that quote unquote grunge era. I hate that fucking term. And then Rage was like a band all on their own, but this band was nothing like either one.
Right.
It was a completely different sounding band from both other bands. And that's what drew me to them too. Because when I heard Cochise for the first time, I was like, what the fuck is this? Because I knew it was Chris Cornell because his voice is so prominent. But when I found out that it was the guys from Rage, it blew me away. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, sure. How could they fail? I mean, you have one of the great, you know, modern era guitarists. Okay, you have arguably maybe one of the top 10 rock singers coming together. Right. And, you know, between Tom Morello and Chris Cornell, phenomenal songwriting. Yeah. I mean, I wish they had put out more music because I thought everything they did was so good, man. Did you ever get a chance to see them?
I didn't know. I didn't even know if they ever, you know, toured or anything. So no, to answer your question, but that's still like a go-to album that I'll listen to, you know, once through, a couple times a year, just, you know, just because you're driving for 3 hours at a clip, you know, to and from these awful gigs, you need something to listen to. But no, I never got a chance to see him.
Do you air guitar to Like a Stone?
What's that?
Do you air guitar to Like a Stone? Like that?
No,
wow,
great. Highway's great, or I'm a Highway is great. I'm a guy that like will like roll the windows up and like jam out and sing as loud as possibly like to these albums. And Audioslave is a tough one to follow along to because Chris Cornell's range is so crazy, right? Like you're
ridiculous, man.
You're gonna crack your voice.
I kind of put him in the same category as a guy like Paul Rodgers, you know, lead singer for Bad Company. You know, just like a great, like raspy, authentic, great rock singer. You know, put him in any band, they're going to be great. You know,
he's a top 20. He's a top 20 singer of all time for rock music. No problem.
At least. And then you picked Fleetwood Mac. Why
them? I like Stevie Nicks' voice.
Thank you.
I
hate Stevie Nicks.
I hate Stevie Nicks. I hate Fleetwood Mac, man. I
have a crush on Stevie Nicks still.
You know what it is? It's like lawyer music. It's like, like on casual Friday, man, we'll have a Coors Light and put on some Ryan. Oh, that blows. Oh, I hate that.
So my aunt was a big Stevie Nicks person. I hate my aunt. She drank herself to death, right? But for whatever reason, I love Fleetwood Mac because that will bring me right back to her smoke-filled fucking Labatt 50, stack of empty Labatt 52 cases, in the kitchen. It brings me right back to that apartment. I don't know why I love it, but I just love it.
That's what music does.
Yeah. My aunt, who has passed, and she when I was a kid, like 8 years old, I remember waking up to brush my teeth before I went to school, and I had to step over my naked aunt who was passed out in the bathroom to brush my teeth. And like I didn't think anything of it. I was just a kid, And
Wait,
I was
why were you raised by your aunt?
No, this is where the story gets interesting. My mother had already
you already got me a naked aunt.
My mother had already moved out of the house at this point in time. And so it wasn't for many years later that I realized that my dad was banging my aunt.
Oh my God. This is your mom's sister?
Well, it's not my dad's sister. So yeah,
No.
my mom's sister.
But like, how sometimes people like, you have a good family friend, you call them, Aunt Jess.
Right. This is my cousin. No. This is my blood relative.
I didn't know. I just didn't realize you were a hillbilly. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I didn't know this about you.
Canadian trash.
That's fucked up.
Wow.
You mentioned
from Tennessee. I don't get it.
You mentioned Labatt, and it brought a memory back because we would go to Montreal every year for like the big festival and things like that. And, we always embraced the culture up there. It's still our favorite city in the world. And we have this one friend who's he's socially retarded. I think it's fair to say that. So we all go up there at this one bar and we're ordering, I'm ordering like a Molson Triple X. My friends are ordering Labatt Blue and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I'll have a Coors Light. So then the bills come and mine's like $2.25. His is like $2.50 and his bill was like fucking $13. And he's like, why the fuck is a Coors Light $13? I'm like, you're in fucking Canada, you moron. It's a goddamn import, right?
Yeah, right.
So then a bunch of my friends go to like this massage parlor. It was like around the corner from where our hotel was, and it was like next door to the Comedy Works. So I was doing a weekend at the Comedy Works. They were all there, and they all come. We all meet back at the hotel, and they're all shaking their heads and stuff. And I go, "What's the matter?" They go, "Why don't you ask him what happened?" And they go, apparently they bring the whole train of girls out, and he picks the dark-skinned one, and she was Indian. And of course, apparently every girl was like gorgeous and smoking and real fit and in shape and stuff like that. And they come out and my friends go, why did you pick her? And his first words were, where else can you get curry pussy? Socially retarded.
Yes. On that note, John, where could people find you and what do you got going on?
All right. So you can check out my latest album, Super Spreader. iTunes and anywhere that you're going to stream it or listen to it, Spotify, all that shit. And I'll be at the Harrisburg Comedy Zone, November 17th, 18th, 19th, that weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, come on down.
Yeah, I'm there.
Guys, check him out, man. John is a really, really funny guy. You'll love his show. Check out Super Spreader. Okay. And hey, man, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate having you on.
This is a lot of fun, man. Time flew. That's how you know it was a good one.
Absolutely.
Yes, you do. All right, Sean, anything you want to end with here or?
Next 2 weekends, I'm working with Jeffrey 2 weekends in a row. Those podcasts afterwards will be very interesting. I don't like to talk to Jeff very much. I try to do it to like an hour a week. And so if I have to see him 2 days in a row, whether it's virtually or in person, I'm really not fucking happy about in the least bit. But so we got some stuff coming up in Staten Island at the end of November, me and him. I have and again, I'm also gonna be at the Comedy Zone in Harrisburg in January, last weekend in January.
Cool.
All right, guys, that wraps it up. Another episode. Who's your band? John Moses. Thank you, I guess. Sean, I'll see you during the week, and take care,
All right.
everybody.
Later, guys.
All right,
Bye,
bro.
Adam.